Hey everyone, my name is Sarah. I'm 16, and I hope what I'm about to tell you will make other girls speak out when they are in a similar situation. My parents always said that high school is a part of my life that I'm going to remember forever, and they aren't wrong. This is something I could never forget, but in some ways, I don't want to. A few months ago, a new principal came to my school, Mr. Franklin. He was pretty young for the job. He looked like he was in his early 30s. He seemed like the kind of guy who takes care of his looks a lot. You know, with like a skincare routine. He works out. He uses hair conditioner and body lotion. The point is, he looks good. And it's not just the way he looks. He's really nice. He's always smiling. He often hangs out with us in the courtyard at lunch and asks students how we think we could improve the school. That's something a principal never did before. He's really easygoing, and we were really happy to have him in charge of the school. Mr. Franklin is the guy every girl dreams about, and the kind of guy that your parents want you to marry someday. That being said, have you heard the idea of the garbage pile? It's pretty simple. The better a person seems, usually the bigger pile of garbage that they're hiding. And for Mr. Franklin, there was a really big one that took me by surprise. Guys, when you see something that's too good to be real, it's because it's probably not real at all. One day during announcements over the loudspeaker, we were informed that Mr. Franklin would start interviewing students randomly. It was, I guess, similar to what he was doing in the courtyard, except now we would be able to express ourselves better in a more secure environment, like, I guess, his office. It seemed like a nice idea. It is true that a lot of students censor themselves when they're around their peers. A girl from my class was called in over the loudspeaker to go see Mr. Franklin, and we didn't see her for the rest of the day. We were all concerned. But the next morning, she just told us that she was chatting with him and didn't realize how fast the hours went by. Hearing that was reassuring. We thought that she'd been suspended or something. The next day, over the loudspeaker, my friend Jonathan was called into Mr. Franklin's office. He also disappeared for the rest of the day. We weren't really concerned this time. The next morning, Jonathan didn't come to school and he didn't pick up his phone. We didn't want to overthink it. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you might miss school, like being sick with the flu. Or, I don't know, whatever other reasons. However, something felt wrong. That day, there was another student called into class. Me. I heard over the loudspeaker my name and that my presence was required in the principal's office. I got chills. I started walking towards the office, and the only thing I could think about was Jonathan. What if something had happened to him? Is Mr. Franklin involved? I tried to relax before entering his office. I took a deep breath and I opened the door. Mr. Franklin asked me to close the door and then said, "How are you, Sarah? You look amazing." I thanked him because it didn't sound like perverted or anything. I just took it as a compliment, like from my dad or something. He wanted to know if I thought there was something in the school that needed to change. I said that the cafeteria menu didn't have any healthy options. He wrote it down on a notebook, and after that he stood up and said something like, "I think these doors need fixing. They don't really work right." And then he locked the door and said, "Well, I guess it's working now." I immediately became uncomfortable. He sat back at his desk and asked me if there was anything he could do for me. I couldn't even talk. I shook my head like I was saying no, but he insisted. He grabbed my hands and then said, "I'm pretty sure there's one thing I can do for you." He approached me. He smelled my hair and then he asked me to unzip my pants. I couldn't move. There were literally a gazillion thoughts going through my mind at the same time. I stood up and I tried to walk toward the door. He stopped me, grabbed my ass, and said, "Don't play hard to get with me. I know you want me the same way I want you." I finally got my voice back, and I yelled at him, "Are you crazy?" And then I pushed him, and he tried to pounce on me, but I hit him on the face with a stapler that was on the desk. I got to the door, unlocked it, and ran out of the office. I didn't stop running until I got home. My parents hadn't left for work yet, and they were surprised when they saw me. I told them everything. My dad was furious. He wanted to kill Mr. Franklin. Mom calmed Dad down. I tried to contact Jonathan, but he didn't pick up his phone. I guess the same thing happened to him. I guess Mr. Franklin must be into guys and girls too. My mom and I went to the police to make the report, and my dad stayed at home because he was going to make some calls that could help us with this, quote, situation, unquote. I don't know what he meant. I told everything to the police, hoping they would arrest him. But the next morning, Mr. Franklin had disappeared. Jonathan never spoke about what happened to him. and we haven't heard anything about Mr. Franklin since. If you're watching this and have been put in this kind of situation, please don't ignore it. The worst thing you can do is keep it to yourself. People like Mr. Franklin need to be stopped. Hi, my name is Kathy, and I'm in a situation that I don't even think I can get out of, and I could really use some advice. Where do I even start? Have you heard the term helicopter parent? It's when a parent, either your mom or your dad, never leaves your side. They're always watching and hovering around. Sounds terrible, right? For me, that would be liberating. My mother was always very hovering growing up. I wasn't allowed to play on most things on the playground because she was certain I was going to break something. My dad said she was just overprotective, but it was more than that. I was never allowed to use a smartphone when I was a kid. I had to use the landline at the house if I wanted to call a friend. I thought it was because my mom didn't want me having a phone, but now I know it's so she could listen in on the phone in her room. I was allowed on the computer, and that's when I found out about social media. Finally, I could have something that was just mine. I couldn't have anything in my room. She would just go through it every day when I was at school. I asked her what she was looking for, and she would just deny that she even went through my stuff. She even denied it when I caught her doing it. I thought that maybe it would get better when I was a teenager, but it's just gotten worse. She's basically become a stalker now that I'm 16. Online, though, I can have a little freedom. I could chat with friends and post pictures. It's great. That is, until it turned creepy. One day at school, a friend came up to me and asked me why I unfriended her on Facebook. I told her I didn't. She said I just did, which was impossible because I didn't even have a phone and I only used social media at home. I checked my account when I got home and found that all my friends were unfriended. It had to be my mom. But how? I looked around expecting to find a camera, and what I found was a little creepier. In the back of the computer, I found a USB stick with a name on it, Key Tracker. When I Googled it, I found out that it was a device that recorded your keystrokes. My mother was using this James Bond gadget to get my password and mess with my Facebook. What could I do? I told my friends and they freaked out. One of them gave me an old smartphone so I didn't have to use my computer anymore. I always kept it with me so that my mom would never find it. It was my lifeline to the outside, my sanctuary. That was until I got sick. I came down with mono and I had to go to the doctor. I tried to grab my phone before I left, but I didn't get the chance. I knew that I'd protected the phone with a password, so there was no way, even if she found it, that she could get into it. I thought wrong. While I was at the clinic, my mom stormed in and was raving at me about something. She was crying and saying, "How could I?" and calling me a whore. I didn't know what she was talking about. She threw a bag at me, and inside it was my phone. She said that she found the phone cleaning my room and was so worried that I was on drugs or something, she took the phone to the store and had them crack it. She told the people at the store that I was a drug addict so she could get into my phone. What is wrong with her? She told me that I was a hussy and I was going to get knocked up. I hadn't even kissed my boyfriend yet, and she's talking about sex? She demanded that I break up with him. This isn't fair. She said that it was the only way and took my phone and left. Later, when I got home, she told me I had to break up with my boyfriend. I went to his house and I told him what was going on. He was upset and he wanted to get me out of the house. He's so sweet. I was taken by the emotions of it all. The rage, the heartbreak, the stress. The next thing I knew, we were having sex. I felt liberated. I defied my mother and made my own choice. Before I could think about it, I took my boyfriend's phone and took a few pictures of us while we were having sex. After we were done, I texted them to my phone, knowing that my mom would be looking at it. She would just find a bunch of pictures of her naked daughter having sex with her boyfriend. I wrote, "Congratulate me," and followed with, "Thanks for making me do this." Should I have done it? Was it wrong? After all of her craziness, did I just cross the line? Can I even go home after this? If you could please give me some advice, I would really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and comment below. Let me know what you think. Thanks, guys.